Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, my guest recently went through a name switch. He used to go by MistaDC, and now he goes by Dave Shanaé.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually a huge fan of his music. We were just talking about before the podcast. He doesn't feel like he has a huge platform, but all my all my favorite artists in Seattle, this man has worked with. So I'm excited to learn more about his background, and I love his outfit. So let's just get into this.
I had to make sure that the fit was right before I came in here too.
Yes, sir. You're one of those artists that genuinely I feel like anyone can put you on any type of track, whether it's a band, EDM, hard rap. Like you have a very you have a fluent style that fits on various art mediums, and it's really dope to see.
Damn, I appreciate that. Yeah, man. I mean, I started off as a rapper. So, like, the fact that, like, I love rapping, but I just ended up loving to sing a lot more. And I love music. I love being able to explore different genres. I love to explore the possibility of bringing two genres together or multiple genres together and just kind of making the sound feel unique to what I am or to the people that I'm making music with, So it's dope that you recognize those outlets, I guess, because I definitely want to emphasize my rapping style a lot more, or just bring it back, even if it's just subtly on like other songs that I just ended up, working on, or if I'm working on music with another artist, I want to be able to, I want people to want me to do that medium just as much as I do the singing part, And
I think you've got that. I feel like there's a lot of artists I do know, though, that are singers that try to rap.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Right.
I feel like it's an easier transition from a rapper to a singer, because I feel like a lot of rappers do their own like choruses, and that's more, it's more, I feel like it fits better. Like, it's so crazy to hear like someone rap, like, or even like a Drake, I'm not a huge fan of his singing style, but when he goes from rapping and then doing his own chorus, it fits really well together.
Yeah, Drake is definitely one of those artists. He was and somewhat still is an inspiration to the music that I make. I don't put him on like the pedestal that so many people put him on, but I understand what he's done and like what especially me growing up listening to Drake. It's wild to still see him have such an impact on just generations, It's just wild. So
it is wild, dude. From his first album on, he's like the So Far Gone EP. That shit was fire. Like, he's always been amazing, which is crazy. But I had Samurai Dell on like a week or two ago, and he told me I hadn't checked it out until he told me about it. Your Mista Samurai project.
That was like the first project I made when we came out here.
Oh, so you're not originally from Seattle?
I'm from Tri-Cities.
Oh, so you're
Eastern Washington.
You're part of that Tri-City gang.
I am. That's how me, Karma, Nobi, that's how we know each other.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like before I graduated high school, that's when me, Kyle, Mark, that's how we ended up meeting each other. And it's funny because it's my dad who introduced us to each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's your dad?
Well, Jordan. I don't really like saying my last name. Maybe we can bleep that up. But my dad, he's been a very, he's been a staple in the Eastern Washington realm.
Like an A&R type deal?
Nah, just more of like a motivational speaker. He's always brought like art together. He's a poet first, and then he was a motivational speaker second. And his love for art and music, and he created this platform called Urban Poet Society, where it was kind of like a series of open mics where people would just come out, and like in Eastern Washington, there's not many like platforms like that.
Right.
Eastern Washington, they're more about sports and getting the job done.
Because there's fucking sick farmland out there.
Yeah,
right?
it's farm. It's kind of dirt and farmland out there. So my dad wanted to change that a little bit and created Urban Poet Society. And we would have them at the Barnes & Noble at our local mall. And it was like once a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks. I forget. It's been like years since then.
Wow.
But yeah, and I don't know if that's how my dad met them. But I just remember he introduced us. We worked on music, and then there was one time where my dad had them come over to our house, and like he just cooked us a whole bunch of like chicken and just food and just barbecued it up. My dad actually posts it all the time on his Facebook. But yeah, it was just like it was like a memory that I have of just like, damn, like it's wild that that's how we ended up. Like that's our origin story of
That's
how we
crazy.
became kind of like a family, you know? Like I look at those dudes like my brothers, you know, because like we just kind of, we low-key kind of grew up after that, you know? We kind of just grew up low-key together, just knowing each other and supporting each other and, you know, being on each other's back, you know?
Damn, I never got that perspective. I thought you guys all just kind of knew each other in the Tri-Cities, and then eventually you randomly all moved out to Seattle.
It low-key is kind of like that, but like before we moved out to Seattle, like we were making music and stuff like that together. You know, we had a couple tracks that we were making before that, and you know, it's just wild because they're like a year older than I am. And they were like,
how old are you?
26.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to update your Spotify.
Yeah. Does it say?
He's been 23 for the 3 years.
Damn. Okay, on MistaDC, right?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
true.
So damn, I do need to update that. I mean, shit. On Dave Shanaé, man, it's weird because like I've always had this perspective of like the older you get, the more like you need to like start focusing on other shit. And I feel like we live in a time where being in our 20s, being in our 30s, you know, we're still young.
Yeah,
you know,
of
we're
course.
still hella young. I know some people that are just turning 30. Sorry, I'm gonna talk your ear off about age right now.
Yeah, no worries.
I know some people that just turned 30 that
Sam LaChow.
Sam LaChow just turned 30.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's wild. But he's not specifically who I'm talking about when it comes to this, because I know that he's not gonna like. What I'm talking about is people like looking at age and being like, okay, that's it, I need to give up. Because like I know Sam's not gonna like give up. Like he's not doing that. It's clear. He's making his music. He's doing what he needs to do, you know. But I know some people that are like, yo, I'm turning 30, and these people make really, really fucking fire music, you know. But getting to that point where they're just like, I think it's time to call it quits, you know. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? You're doing a disservice to not only yourself, but to the people that actually really fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know, and your future self, the possibilities that you could be, like venturing out to, anything that you could see yourself being, like, it shouldn't be giving up. I don't know.
Yeah, I was. Do you know who Will Jordan is?
Of course.
So I had Will on the podcast, and he was talking about like how from 20 to 30, that's like the pivotal time where an artist actually finds himself, and that's where the real growth happens. And when you look at a lot of these industry artists, a lot of them are 29, 30, 35. From like when you're looking at like a Little Baby or a Lizzo. Lizzo's in her mid-30s. Drake's in his mid-30s.
Wait, Lil Baby is in his 30s?
I think he's like 29 or something like that.
You're lying.
I'm pretty sure Little Baby's older.
Is it Lil Baby or Da Baby?
I'm pretty sure. Do you have your phone on you?
Yeah, let me see.
I'll continue to talk. Little Baby. I'm pretty sure, but like a lot of these artists, like I feel like a Little Nas X is an exception. There's obviously like occasional exceptions, like a Little Mosey, Little Nas X, fucking Little Bow Wow, you know, all this.
Yeah.
But
so I mean, no, Da Baby is 29, but
how old's Little Baby?
Lil Baby is about to be 27.
20. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Though, like they're late 20s, reaching into their early 30s.
Right? And their careers are just starting.
Yeah.
You know?
So I feel like there's no need to give up. You know?
No, not at all. You know, it's we like I was saying, like we definitely live in a time where content is able to be given.
We have a question first. Why do you think people think that in the first place, though?
Because anybody in our age, I don't know how old you are.
I'm 20.
You're 20?
Yes.
Okay, so then you're still young. You're still.
I can't even drink. I have one more month, November. So
Bro,
it's coming
what?
up.
You haven't even been able to sip for legally. I don't know if
No.
you drink, but like.
I drink water, huh?
There you go. There you go. But like you haven't been able to sip. That's wild. No, man, like why do I think that? Cuz I feel like maybe my generation, I don't know.
What is your generation again? You're like a millennial?
I think I'm a millennial. I was searching up the other day. I thought I was Gen X. That's your generation, right?
I thought I was a millennial, but I guess I'm not.
Millennial, I think, is 1995 and up.
Okay. So maybe
or
I'm a
1995. I think 1980 to 1995 is a millennial. And then everything after is like not Z, right?
Gen Z something. I don't know what Gen Z is, though.
Because Gen X is before the millennial, right?
I don't know.
Damn,
what's a boomer?
Boomer is like 1960s, I think. I think they're the booms. They're the boomers.
The booms.
The booms. No, but
one more thing. This is off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
I hate in movies people are starting to say boomer and stuff. Like, have you seen the Squid Games yet?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, in one of the episodes, they called that old guy a boomer. And
really?
I'm like, what? Even in South Korea, they're using the word boomer now?
Hey, man, slang just happens to be everywhere. You know, it doesn't matter where. But it is funny. I feel like they had to, like, use that. Or maybe did you read did you listen to it in the actual, like, American subtitles with Korean?
I switched between it. Like, I don't mind. Like, I actually feel like I get taken out of it if I'm hearing English and it's, like, not matching up with the
words or the mouth.
Yeah. But, like, my family is like, they're like, why? I don't want to just read subtitles, you know? So when I was by myself listening to that or any other show that's foreign, I'll have the subtitles on and listen to it listen to the original language.
Right.
But, when I was watching with family, they'd want to hear, like, the English.
See, and, like, excuse me, my bad. I was about to burp.
Even if it's, like, just completely off, like, they'll stop talking and the words will continue going.
Still going, yeah. And see that's the thing that, like, I was looking at it because the first episode, I didn't realize it was, like, a Korean film or a Korean show. Like, I thought it was Korean American at first. And then when I realized that they were actually, like, you know, the mouth movements were not matching up with the actual words, I was like, okay.
Or the voice actors even.
Yeah, and, like, it just felt weird. Like, it felt weird. Like, it didn't feel like the voice acting matched necessarily to how they were actually acting.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, okay, I need to switch over. And then me anyway, even if I'm watching an American show or anything like that, I still watch with subtitles because I like to read. Because sometimes I, like, might not hear them correctly. I'm like, yo, what do they say? And then, like, I have to, like, read that shit, you know? I'm that type of person. But I end up switching it over. And, like, there was, like, this TikTok that was explaining that the American subtitles are actually not really what they are actually meaning.
I saw that the other day.
Yeah, and, like, it takes so much away from the grip or the concept of what their character is. You know, like, you might hear them say something and then you might get a different idea of what their character is about just based off the fact that the subtitles are mistyped, you know.
Have you watched South Korean movies before?
I just got done watching Train to Busan.
Yeah, see, those are the, like, that's actually because I'm really into either super, like, gory, fucked up movies or, like, psychological thrillers. Like, my favorite show right now is Hannibal. I'm about to finish. I'm on, like, I have, like, 2 more episodes left.
I heard about that show. I haven't watched it yet.
You should watch. It's on Hulu if you have.
Is it? Damn. There's so many fucking shows. Oh my God.
But anyways, like, South Korean films are actually probably my favorite because they're just so fucked up. So, like, Train to Busan. Is it Busan?
I always read it as Busan.
Yeah. So there's that. There's It Comes at Night, which is also on Netflix. You should watch that.
Okay.
Really fucked up. The Man from Nowhere. There's, like, all these. Bruh. So it's kind of crazy that Squid Games became so popular, and I wonder if that's gonna have more people wanting to watch these fucked up shows, or if, if there's, like, kids watching Squid Games because it's just so meme
popular,
culture.
yeah.
But it's, like, fucked up. So I wonder, like, do parents know what's on Squid Games?
I mean, I feel like I hope the parents are, like, watching. You know, I mean, there's some parents, because my parents grew up letting me just kind of do whatever, low key. Like, not like, oh yeah, just go and fuck around, but like, I don't know. They just let me kind of watch whatever. Like, I was playing, like, Grand Theft Auto in, like, first grade and shit like that. So, like, it really depends on the parent, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder if this Squid Games will actually have people more invested in South Korean movies or not.
I was just talking about this with my barber, actually. I was just like,
where's your barber at?
in Federal Way.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, shout out Casey.
Damn,
Shout
you
out my
drive
guy.
all the way to Federal Way to get your haircut?
Yeah, bro, because that's my guy. So I used to live in Renton.
Okay.
And he used to work at a barbershop. I forget the name of it, but he used to work at a barbershop like pretty much at South Center.
Okay.
And I used to go there all the time. And then not too long ago, he ended up getting his own shop in Federal Way. And I was like, well, not only does he know how to cut my hair, that's my guy. He knows what I want without me even like telling him what I want. He's just like, okay, I know what you want. So we're on that level. But then at the same time, my bad, there was a fuzzy. I had to hit it real quick. But then at the same time, like I gotta support my guy. You know, he's black owned business. You know, I gotta make sure that I support that. So I drive out there. Yeah, I make the drive.
I have never had any luck with any barbers or hairstylists.
That's my guy, bro. I would Imperial Barber Lounge.
Hey,
in Federal Way. That's where I go. They will get you hooked up.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them for sure.
So what were you saying? We have two things we have to follow up on. So first thing, okay. Wait, what were you saying about I'm still interested in the South Korean thing. What were you saying with your friends about that?
Yeah, I was thinking like, I feel like I wonder if this will like spark more interest in letting like foreign film and foreign like TV shows be brought up in the mainstream, and then also making it so that they don't have to like Americanize it, you know, because Train to Busan, one of the reasons why I ended up like not like rewatching it, but just like really consuming it the way that I felt like it needed to be consumed. Sorry, I see this fuzzy.
Yeah, there's a fucking fuzzy.
It's distracting me, bro. But like, and not Americanizing it, you know, like I understand where some stories can be told differently through an American lens, I guess. But sometimes when you watch the movie and know the original, sometimes watching it the American way kind of ruins it. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost kind of like, I mean, it was already what I'm about to say was already like an American TV show at the time anyway.
Talking about The Office.
I was talking about Avatar, The Last Airbender, but the way that they kind of like it's weird how they Americanized an American TV show.
Are you talking about the movie?
The movie.
Dude, that movie was like
so garbage.
God. That was horrendous.
Bro, and it's one of the reasons why it's kind of hard to like.
They even fucked up the main character's name.
That's one of the reasons why like it, I don't know, if they do like Americanize anything, like it always, for me anyway, gets taken with a grain of salt. Like I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I hope like even this new Cowboy Bebop live action, like I grew up watching the original like anime, and I don't know, are they gonna do it justice? You know, sometimes I'm like very skeptic about like old like, you know, like old foreign cartoons, you know, getting Americanized or live actionized, and how is that gonna actually translate into something that's a fan service and then someone that is new to the series, you know?
I think the main reason why Squid Games is even popular right now is because of how shitty the movies in America have been. If you think about it, for the past like honestly like 2 to 3 years, all the movies, the majority of the movies coming out are just remakes or sequels or prequels. It's ridiculous.
Bro, it's weird. I never even thought about that actually. You know, something that I did think
it's safe though, that's why they do it.
Yeah, it's very safe. Like I don't think anything original has been coming out, but I mean we are also coming back into like finally starting to transition back into like being able to see movies in the movie theater and like actually consume like TV different but same, like because we're still consuming like HBO movies.
That's so dope.
Weird.
Do you have HBO?
I have all the streaming platforms.
I love HBO. They can fucking watch it in the theater and on.
Yeah, they kill it that way, bro. Yeah. Like, cause you have the option to be like, okay, I could watch this in the comfort of my home, or I could just go to like a big screen surround sound and like enjoy it that way too. Obviously, like there's pros and cons because like one, you have to pay to watch it in a movie theater, or two, you get to just, I get to watch this in the comfort of my home. Yeah. But like how nice is your system at home, you know?
Yeah.
But the comfort is there. The comfort is there. But nah, man, I was actually, and this is funny, talking about movies.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything about 3D movies anymore?
Oh,
you remember
shit.
how like 3D was just being pumped into us? I have not seen one like advertisement about like watch this in 3D.
Yeah, I wonder why. Like even do you have a VR system at all?
Bro, I'm thinking about getting one.
Like even watching movies in VR kind of sucks. You know,
right
like,
now.
Yeah, right now at least.
Damn.
I don't know why. I saw something about it. Like there's like this system that was meant for 3D that was supposed to come out and just completely flopped. Like probably like a decade ago.
Really?
I don't know what's
for VR.
For just 3D, like the 3D glasses, like having like your own 3D. It's like it was like Blu-ray but 3D for your own house.
Damn.
But that shit flopped. I don't know why 3D flopped. I never saw anything like I feel usually when things flop, I feel like a lot of it's like health crisis type stuff. Like does 3D give you blindness or anything? But I never saw anything like that. So I don't know why it fell off. Do you have any ideas?
No, I was just to be honest, I mean like anything like recently is like I just think because of the pandemic, low key, and then all of a sudden they just decided that they are just gonna stop doing 3D movies. But like if you saw like a Marvel movie, they would give you the option to watch it in like HD or like IMAX 3D or something like that, and you're just like, oh shit, you have those options to watch this movie. I don't know how much of a difference it really is because I was never the type to be like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this movie in 3D and like hopefully see a difference. But like some people really fucked with IMAX 3D for some reason.
That just hurts my eyes, man.
Yeah, bro, because like I don't know, especially because like it doesn't like go around your eye. It just only does right here. So like parts are right here from your like peripheral.
Yeah.
You can actually still see just regular life happening. And then you sit there and like go like this to make sure that it's actually like 3D or not. Like, am I getting my money's worth? How much 3D is this actually? Like,
did you see they shut down Cinerama? Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
I think, who is it? I'm pretty sure Bill Gates or Paul Allen, one of those big tech guys, owned it. It was like in downtown Seattle, and they'd only play like one movie a month. Like it would play the same movie for a whole month, and like it was like a crazy huge movie theater, just one screen. It was massive. It was like something like $20 to $30 per ticket. But
what the fuck?
It was such a crazy experience.
Per ticket?
Yeah, it was something crazy. I'm pretty sure.
Just to go see that one movie.
Yeah, but the experience was amazing. But now that's done.
They closed it down. It was in downtown.
Yeah. I think the building's still there.
I may. Was it like a blue building?
I think so. And it had like I think it was blue and it had kind of like animations on it. I'm pretty sure it had animations on
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've been there once because of...
It was right next to the railway station or transit station or whatever it's called. Literally right down the street from Westlake.
Didn't Travis Thompson, didn't he have his like one of his short films play there?
Really?
I think so.
I'm
not
sure.
Sure.
That's crazy.
I may be wrong then. I don't know. I mean, he could have, but I remember him like in downtown Seattle. There was like a movie theater that we ended up going to that he got to premiere.
Damn.
One of his short films there.
See, that's what I'm trying to push right now. Like, there's so many different genres that can blend together. Like a movie with music and all that stuff is so cool.
Bruh, it's so fire. TJ Campana, I don't even know why I just yelled out his government. My bad.
He had that movie he released in the theater.
Yeah, it was super fire. He's been winning a couple awards for it too.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like, it's super fire the way that they did it. You might see a little cameo with me in there, and it's just super fire the way that they did it. Swim Team is the one.
You got a Swim Team water bottle right there.
Yeah, bro. I got the Swim Team sticker. Shout out Swim Team. Shout out Genki. Shout out Gritty. Yeah, man.
So tell me about this age thing that you're getting at.
Yeah,
we're literally probably there's probably been like 20 minutes or so
after we started bringing that up. I was saying before is like I feel like I feel like my generation, but like this millennial generation, I feel like we grew up kind of like at the end of what the generation before us were, where they thought like, okay, we had to make it, we had to be successful, we had to have like a good job, we had to have like graduated college by the time we hit 20, you know, and then after that we have to start getting our plan for when we turn 30, which is like what? Having kids, getting married, having a house, having a good job, and then living the rest of your life that way. You know, that's the mind state that the generation before us had, and then we were kind of like getting the little bits of that, you know, to where, you know, the generation before us, they didn't get to really grow up on the technology that we grew up, understanding that there are so many different ways to make your money.
You're the last generation that grew up without technology, I'm pretty sure.
I grew up with technology.
But like as a teenager, it was something like that. Or like
really?
Millennials, I think it was like something like, because didn't the internet come out around like in the house around, I thought it was like early 2000s, 90s?
I think it was probably like, I mean, the internet has probably been...
That's been around since like the 80s or 70s. Right?
I don't even know. Damn, that's a good question. I don't know when the internet has been around for sure.
I'm pretty sure you're one of the last generations that, as a kid, did you have internet?
Yeah, for sure. I was playing RuneScape. I was playing internet games.
I'm the worst with fun facts.
Bro, it's all good. It's all good. I'm not that old, bro. I'm not that old. I was definitely on the computer at like 5 playing like the internet.
Okay.
Yeah. 5 and 6 for sure on the internet. But
like with the commercials that say only go on this website with your parents' permission.
Yeah, with parents' permission.
They don't even say that shit anymore.
Oh no, because they already know that there's no parent permission. Everybody has access to the internet now. Literally everybody. I was definitely probably the last generation that got to experience being able to be on your phone and be on your, and like the generation after us, for sure is only gonna know internet access at all aspects.
And they're going to be all brainwashed. We're just going to have, these are just like fucking soldiers that we don't even, like they're all, like, dude, kids are like a completely, like I have a little brother and by the time he was, I don't know, like 5, 6, he was already glued to the TV screen and like his phone and stuff. Like
we live in that age, bro, where now everything is digital, bro. Like
it's all propaganda though. Imagine like what these kids are consuming on a daily basis that their parents don't even know about.
It's wild. But these kids, man, like I feel like the internet is definitely beneficial and can be like disruptive at the same time. Like it's beneficial because these kids that are already like learning the internet at a rate at which it is now compared to when it was when we were kids, and they're already consuming all of this, they're going to know how to push technology forward. They're already like, there are kids that I know.
Couldn't they just be, they might just end up being consumers and just be stuck in that cycle of being a consumer.
But then like that's for everybody though. Cause like I could have grew up just being a consumer to music, but I decided to make music and consume music, you know? So there are like two different ways to it growing up, you know, like I'm definitely more of a consumer of electronics than I am like, oh, I'm going to push electronics forward. You know, like I don't know shit about like building like a computer or like, I mean, I know that it's a little bit easier now than it probably was back then to build a computer, but the information out here I feel like it was already limitless, but then I feel like it expanded into being even more limitless, if that makes sense. And I feel like in the right hands, some children will be able to like already understand like coding and understanding like the computer and what like entails in this box, you know, or even in this phone, you know, and learning how to like make it smaller, make it bigger, make it expand super far, or like just only be right here. Like I truly feel like some kids now, like I knew some kids because I used to work at a childcare facility.
Hey.
And some of those kids truly, I truly believe like, yo, these kids will probably push technology forward. Like they know a little bit more than I do, and I've been using electronics since I was fucking 6, you know. But they're like you were saying, like they're using it in more of the pushing shit forward aspect where I was just using it like, oh, I'm playing RuneScape right now. I'm watching YouTube videos, you know, I'm doing shit that I probably shouldn't be doing on the internet, but, you know.
Yeah, I think the internet's kind of crazy though.
There's so much.
There is good stuff, I guess, but there's also a ton of bad stuff. Like,
oh, sure.
That's one of the reasons why here at the studio, I guess we can talk about it. We're adding like a gaming element to it.
Right.
And it's not like if we were in fucking Utah, we probably wouldn't be doing that, but we're here in a fucking tech city where like people are definitely, I know so many people that are like legitimately like addicted to like video games or being online.
Bro.
So as like a podcast studio, we have to adapt to that and be like, that's an actual market.
Oh, for sure. That exactly, you know.
But that's all just consuming.
But see, like it's trash because like electronics definitely, and like the algorithm and everything like that definitely cater to your consumer habits. You know, like my phone knows exactly what fits I want to wear. My phone knows exactly what like video game that I like, because I like video games too, and they know exactly when to pop that shit up on my screen to make me like, oh, a new character just came out to Smash Bros. Oh, you like Kingdom Hearts? Guess what? Sora's coming to fucking Smash Bros now. And
like, yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, which is super fire because I grew up playing Kingdom Hearts. So like it's wild because like I don't even have a Switch right now, but my algorithm knew exactly that it needed to give me that information to get me hyped. Because now, guess what? My consumer brain that doesn't have a Switch right now is thinking about getting a fucking Switch.
Yeah.
Because like two of my like favorite games are coming together. Like Sora from Kingdom Hearts is now gonna be a character in Super Smash Bros.
Dude, let me tell you a funny story. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts just had that's why they're doing
third game.
Their 20th anniversary. That's why they're doing.
Oh, that makes sense too.
But when I was like in 5th grade, when I was like into Kingdom Hearts the most, I literally would like have friends I could talk to about it too. It was crazy. But we had like school laptops, and this kid with me was randomly arguing about. I don't even know why. In 5th grade, we were arguing about fucking condoms for some reason, because we both didn't really know what it was. Yeah. This dude, but we were fighting about what it actually was or what it wasn't. Like,
so you guys can like prove that you guys knew what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I feel you.
So I was like, I'll show you what a fucking condom is. And I looked up condom on the school laptop.
Oh, and damn.
I forgot, and on the Google images, and I forgot to like close out of the browser. So the next kid who didn't know what a condom fucking was, like opened their laptop and was like, what the fuck?
Oh,
and
man.
They showed it to the teacher, right? And then I didn't get in trouble because I was like, I thought I was looking up a character from this video game, Kingdom Hearts, named Condoom or something like that. Yeah. And I actually got out of it. I was like, it's actually a really hard name to spell. I thought it was spelled like that.
That's smart. That's smart brain right there. See, like, and that's a generation of smart kids, bro. That's what I'm saying. The internet taught you how to do that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm
Condoom.
Sure. Yeah. Say, bro, that's wild, man. That's wild.
So tell me about why you switched your name up from MistaDC to Dave Shanaé. And actually, first start out, where the fuck did you get MistaDC from, anyways?
Yeah. So that it's funny because like I tell the story, but it was back when I was in elementary school. Yeah, I was like in 5th grade. So like right before
grade stuff happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right in 5th grade, man. That's a pivotal point in life right there. I was in 5th grade. It was around the time where I was starting to move in with my granny and my aunt.
In the Tri-Cities?
No, out here in Auburn.
Oh, okay. You lived in Auburn, huh?
Yeah, so there was pretty much in my whole elementary, I like moved back and forth between Auburn and Tri-Cities, up until like middle school, and I lived with my dad. But yeah, 5th grade, I was living with my granny and my auntie, and I was going to the school that like I had never been to, but it was like right in the like middle of the school year. So it was like kids were already becoming friends with each other. They were already knowing. Anyway, I was the new kid, and at the time I'd always wear these shoes, the DC brand shoes. I don't know if you know about DC brand, the skateboard shoes.
Is that still around?
I don't know. I think so, actually.
They got Ridiculousness. That's still a show. Like Scott.
Yeah.
Was it Rob Dyrdek? The creator of DC.
And I honestly, for the longest time, didn't even know that until like a show or like an interview of Rob Dyrdek. But yeah, I was wearing the DC brand shoes. I remember to be honest, like knowing how like styles kind of like come back, these shoes would low key be kind of fire because they're just like these brown DC branded shoes. And damn, I could have fit them still because I had a big ass foot as a kid. Anyway, they said DC on them, and those are my initials. And I remember this kid that I became friends with. He was just always like, he would always like notice my shoes, and he's like, "Oh, DC." And I remember it was like, I was pretty much like, "Yeah, I'm MistaDC," and like, he's like, "What, MistaDC?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm MistaDC. These are my shoes," pretty much. And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because my name is David, DC." And he just kind of kept on calling me MistaDC. He's just like, I like that. And he's like, I just kept on. I kind of gave the name to myself, but it kind of came off of the fact that I was wearing the DC brand shoes and that the fact that my initials were DC. So then I just kept on getting called DC, but then like I would always be like, yeah, I'm MistaDC. But like I used to have it super proper and like Mr. DC, and I used to write it in my little notebook. And then did
you even like skateboarding?
I was like low key, I was like getting into it a little bit. Like I wish I got into it a lot more, but me moving around so much was never able to like truly get myself into it. Like I used to skate on my mom's boyfriend at the time. I used to skateboard on his skateboard, and I was starting to catch on to it. But then like they ended up like breaking up or some shit like that. And then of course he took the skateboard.
Damn it.
And then like, yeah, out of all things, the fucking skateboard. And then I ended up moving back to Auburn.
So you moved a lot.
I moved a lot. Yeah, I moved so much. Growing up.
And you weren't even a military kid.
I wasn't a military kid. Are you a military kid?
No.
No?
You want to hear a crazy childhood story just like that, though?
Yeah.
Okay, this is embarrassing as fuck, though.
Damn, it's all good.
Okay. Well, it's not that embarrassing. Okay. It's weird, though. So when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Spider-Man. Like, overly obsessed. Like, I dressed up as Spider-Man, like, every Halloween. Just walk around Spider-Man, all the TV shows, comics, toys, all that shit. But to a point that I wanted to be called Spider B for like Spider Blake. So when I was in preschool and kindergarten, I would literally make my teachers call me Spider B, and that was the only way I would respond.
You're lying. Hey, that's fire, bro. What?
Yeah, Spider B.
Spider-Man is fire.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact that you wanted to be that character is huge, bro. Because like
before there was even a black Spider-Man.
Exactly. Because I don't even think Miles Morales was even like a thing until like maybe mid 2000s.
That was literally probably like that was probably
maybe
like
2010.
Yeah, around there, and it was so crazy that it made the news even. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Because it was huge. It was like, oh, the first black Spider-Man. Like that's wild.
He's kick-ass though, for sure.
He's fire. And it's not even like on some like because he's the black Spider-Man, but I truly think that like once they make him live action, even in the Spider-Verse, like Spider-Man like movie, one of my favorite Spider-Mans, like the video game for the PS5 or the PS. Have you played it?
Yeah.
So fucking fire, bro. Great story. Like I'm so excited to consume more of his character.
Yeah.
Like you're wearing his colors right now.
Hey, there we go.
You're wearing his colors right now, bro.
I'm Miles Morales.
You are Miles Morales, bro.
Dude, I should be in for Halloween.
Are you Spider B right now?
Oh.
Are you Spider B right now? Come on now.
I'm dead. So then you were MistaDC for probably how long? That was probably like a decade, right?
More than a decade. Because I just became Dave Shanaé. And it's funny because like Dave Shanaé low-key was given to me by my dad. And I'll get into that. But I've been Mr. DC for like, I was Mr. DC at first. Of course, it was super proper. And then I just didn't like it because I was like, oh, I'm trying to be a rapper. I'm not like Mr. DC. Like that's not hard. That's not cool. So then I ended up changing it to MistaDC, and it just stuck. And like I kept on like calling myself MistaDC like that. I don't know. Maybe it was on some like like egotistical shit. Like, yeah, I'm MistaDC, and I wore that shit forever. I wore it forever, and like nobody else had it on the internet for some reason. Because like still to this day, like if you search up MistaDC, the only thing you will find is me. You know, so no matter what, because I've been MistaDC for so long, I will truly always be MistaDC, because that's who pretty much created me. Like, there would not be a Dave Shanaé if it wasn't for MistaDC.
There wouldn't be a Dave Shanaé or MistaDC if there wasn't a Rob Deerdeck.
Exactly. Shout out Rob Deerdeck. Shout out Fantasy Factory, and rest in peace Big Black. You know, shout out them, because if it wasn't for them, MistaDC would have never even been born. I would have probably been, I don't know I would have been, just David. That's all I would have been. I would have just been David. And how fun is that? And
there's already a Dave B, so you would have been clashing already.
I know. I can't. I would be Dave C. I'd be Dave C. But nah. Yeah. It's a wild journey that that I've been as MistaDC, and it's been a rewarding one for sure. Just because I got to really find myself, and still finding myself, but like I got to really become someone different as MistaDC. Like, I always looked at being MistaDC and being David as two different people, you know. But then as time went on, it formed into one, which actually I feel like made the music better, because I was starting to look at myself as this person and not as a character. And it, like, I still have people referring to me as DC, you know. And
is that annoying?
No, not at all, because it's my initials, you know. I am still DC, but it's cool that people recognize me as that entity still. I feel like it's weird, because it went from like being MistaDC and Dave, and then kind of like forming into one, and then kind of going back out, because now I'm Dave Shanaé, and MistaDC is still an entity in its own form. You know, I'm still like, I still have music as MistaDC. People still like listen to those tracks as MistaDC, you know. I still see that, but nah, man, it's wild. But yeah, Dave Shanaé came from my dad, and it was just one day where he was like, yeah, your last name isn't actually pronounced, it's pronounced Shanaé. And
was that a joke or is that serious?
It was a joke. And it's funny because like I believed him, and this was like maybe like a freshman year of high school. And my dad, if you know my dad, but if you ever meet my dad is just the type of person that he'll find himself in an area where you're just like, oh, damn, you're David's dad? And like, it's just random. But, yeah, like he told the joke and then forgot to tell me it was a joke for like a month. So I was sitting here going around telling people like, yeah, my last name is actually pronounced Shanaé. It's actually pronounced Shanaé. And
in high school?
In high school. So then I'm over here looking like a fucking liar, just telling people that my last name is pronounced Shanaé. But of course I got away with it, because I was just like, I was a goofy kid anyway, so people kind of laughed it off anyway, and it didn't really like become a big deal. But after he told me it wasn't how you actually pronounce it, I actually really liked it though, and I was like, oh, I'm Dave Shanaé. I'm Dave Shanaé.
Sounds
and
fancy.
Like, it's fancy, but like, it's funny how like Dave Shanaé didn't actually become a thing until like pretty much 10 years after I spent this whole journey as MistaDC.
And why did it come up though? Why did it change?
I pretty much brought back Dave Shanaé, like brought Dave Shanaé to like any sort of like medium. Once I don't know, like I was like looking at Dave Shanaé as like an alter ego to MistaDC, and I was going to use Dave Shanaé as like, okay, Dave Shanaé is going to be like the rapping version of me, and then MistaDC is going to be the singing version of me.
Oh, like J. Cole does with Kill Edward.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that was my plan originally. And like I remember I started introducing Dave Shanaé to like the Seattle scene, or to like anybody that knew me as MistaDC out here. And I remember people actually really liked the name. And like I remember there was one time that I was performing, and somebody was like, It was my homie Shayhan actually, and
Shayhan.
Yeah, you know Shayhan?
I've been the digital has been telling me a lot about him, and I've been checking out his music and stuff.
That's my brother, man.
Don't know him personally. Hopefully he'll be on the podcast soon.
He's actually in LA right now. Maybe one day when he comes back this way, you could get him on the podcast.
Or he could be over Zoom, whichever is easiest.
Either way, like that's my brother, man. I love that guy. That's a whole nother story, but like if it wasn't for him, I feel like my growth as an artist wouldn't have been recognized within myself. You know, like he helped me shape a sound within me that I knew I had, but I didn't know how to like really execute properly until like really working with him. And like it felt good having somebody that knew that within me, and like somebody that could like I looked at like as a big brother, because I'm an only child. So like having that kind of like brotherly figure that I never really had, but in a musical sense, was super beneficial on my creation of anything, you know. Besides the point, we were at a show. He asked the crowd, because we were having this debate. He was like telling me like, bro, you should change your name to Dave Shanaé. You should change your name to Dave Shanaé. And I'm like, nah, I like MistaDC. I've been MistaDC for so long, and like, how am I supposed to like transition all the music from what I did now to over there, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we get on stage, and before we even get on stage, he's like, yo, before we start this, I want to ask y'all, what do you like more? I went from, and rate it by your cheers. Let me hear, do you like MistaDC? And they're like, ooh, they scream, they do their thing. And they're like, okay, but how about Dave Shanaé? And then they just roar, bro. They're just like screaming. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, I was like, fuck y'all. Cause like, I was in a joking way. I was like, fuck y'all. Like, I'm MistaDC. You guys don't deserve MistaDC. It's just whatever. They all laugh, blah, blah, blah. But that's like really the moment where I was like, damn, maybe Dave Shanaé could actually be who I go by. And then like years after, up until like 2020, when like really the whole world shifted, that's when I was like, man, maybe this is the moment that like I really do decide to like switch things up. You know, like I'm making different music now. My sound is a little bit different from what I was doing. I've grown in different ways, and maybe this is the way that I introduce Dave Shanaé properly to the world as somebody that, you know, is who I am. Like it's technically my real name. Yeah. You know, but it's like I'm giving people a different side of me that has always been there. But you know,
hell yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But yeah, Dave Shanaé.
What was the choice to, because like even with me on my podcast, I think I debate it every couple of months, to be honest, whether there's a the in the NAST podcast or if it's just NAST podcast. It's the stupidest shit ever, but I'll actually like change it every once in a while.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. So what was but you can just change it on Spotify. So what's the difference between you actually making new music under Dave Shanaé versus keeping all the same music and just changing the name on Spotify? Like you have actual 2 different Spotify accounts, music accounts, all that stuff.
There is a, you know, when I looked at it, I just wanted to do a lot more growth as an artist, and I knew that I could grow from what I was as MistaDC into Dave Shanaé. And a part of me thought about doing that, you know, like just putting everything under one platform. And I mean, still can, you know, nothing is stopping me from doing that. But I wanted to pretty much start fresh almost. Like I've been having a good little run with when it comes to like playlisting and stuff like that, and having like people reach out to me and stuff like that through Dave Shanaé. Obviously, like all my platforms on social media changed over to Dave Shanaé. I still own the handle MistaDC, but just on a platform because I just don't want nobody else to take it. If that happens, I'm selfish that way, but you know, it's still me. Yeah. But I really just wanted to start fresh. You know, I wanted to make sure that this art that I'm putting out was the art that I wanted to put out, and not felt like there were some tracks before I felt like I was a little rushed. And it was weird because it wasn't even necessary to rush anything, and there still isn't any like reason to rush anything, no matter what level I ever become, you know, or will be, you know. There's never a reason to rush art or creation. You know, I feel like especially if you want to portray the art in a certain way, you should give it as much time as you want, because the internet is here. You know,
Yeah.
you may lose a couple followers, you may gain a couple followers, but the internet is still here. And if people need to hear it, people will hear it, you know. And if you have people that support you, they're always going to stay there. And if people don't support you, then, you know, fuck them, you know, it's whatever. But I felt like a weird pressure when making some of those songs back as MistaDC, that like I realized I was gaining a little bit of traction around here and people were starting to recognize my music.
Oh, so it was like to keep up with the hype kind of? Or?
A little bit.
Okay.
I felt like I was trying to keep up with something that wasn't really there. I felt like, you know, like it was like an imaginary, like it was imaginary, but then it wasn't at the same time. Like people were still like reaching out to me, hitting me up. I still have people doing that, but you know, it was just coming to a point where I was starting to get overwhelmed by like trying to keep up with my own hype, if that makes sense, and releasing shit that wasn't necessarily all the way finished or the way that I wanted it to be portrayed. You know, it got the point across, but like it didn't get to my point, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't portrayed and the story wasn't told the way that I truly wanted to tell it.
Yeah, I get that. Like even when I can relate that to podcasts, even like if like there's something you know you should edit out or whatever, but
Right.
you don't, like the audience wouldn't care, but you know, like,
Yeah.
fuck, I wish I just tweaked that drum or tweaked that whatever.
And see, and that's the thing though, is like also as like a creative, you also need to know when it is done, you know, because I could go back to these songs. I could even go back to new songs that I released and like listen back to it and be like, damn, I could have done that different. Nothing will ever be done. And that's something that I had to learn like later on in my musical career, I guess, is that nothing will ever really be finished in the artist's perspective, but to the listener, the song could be a masterpiece.
Right.
You know? And that's something that held me back a little bit on releasing things, and even sometimes finishing some stuff, because like I'll sit there and like create something where I'm in the mode, I'm just like, oh, this shit's so fire, and then I might come back to it and I'm like, but it can sound like this, or it can have like, oh, like, you know, and then I'll just get into this mode of like, when will the song actually be done? Because I'm doing the editing as I'm still creating the song.
Right.
I feel like the editing should come after the song is complete. And then that's when you're like, okay, that's where this section needs the sparkles, or this is where this needs the shine, you know?
Then how do you know when you're done now, at least? Like you've already released a few songs under Dave
Yeah,
Shanaé.
and I have some more, you know, I have a lot more. And it's just, I've come to that point where I definitely do need like people in the room that are those like, okay, we can get this done quicker, because like I could sit there and be on a song for weeks, maybe even months before I'm like, this song's done. You know, just because I want to add as much detail, and like I like to tell story within these songs. You know, I want to like give people an experience when they're listening to this shit. Like I don't want them to be like, oh, okay, this is just another song. You know, whether that's being executed or not to the listener, I want it to at least be executed within myself. You know, I definitely want people to hear the music, but the art being made is really meant for my own sanity. You know, like I'm telling these stories out of my own experience or even my homie's experience. You know, like they're personal, but then I also want them to feel personal to other people that listen to it. You know, like I want them to resonate. So I don't want to just give anything just half-ass. You know, I don't want people to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, you could tell that they just made this real quick and they called it good.
It is crazy though. There's some type of art to it also when you're able to put out like an amazing song that you did in one day. Like even with I see it with a lot of albums actually. The most recent example is like fucking Drake song or a song off Kanye's album where they're actually talking about something that happened like a week before the album was even dropped. I'm like, what the fuck?
How do you do that?
I thought this was an album they've been working on for years or months.
Yeah.
And they just throw that, whether they actually go in and tweak that one song to add that line or whatever it is. It's crazy how.
But they also got Drake and Kanye budget where they could have like a full ass studio wherever they want and be like, have the top engineers making sure that that shit sounds crispy and ready for the streaming platforms before it's even on. Like Kanye could literally just like, yo, I'm about to get in the studio. I'm just about to rap real quick, make this shit sound good. You know, like, not saying that budget has anything to do with making good music.
No, but that's what you were talking about. I feel like when you were talking about like how Kanye is actually at that level where he can just make art and doesn't have to really think about the business stuff. And I think like that's probably a dream of a lot of artists, that they can just go and sing some stuff and maybe even forget that they did that because they're able to move on to whatever next art they want to work on or whatever.
No, exactly. Like it's the job, you know. It can be hard when you sit there and have to juggle all these different roles as an up and coming artist, you know. But sometimes it's necessary because then when you have that opportunity to juggle those roles and understand what you're doing, when you invite people to help you fill those roles, then it becomes a little different because then you understand what they need to do in order to help you, you know, because you're like, okay, I can't sit there and email every single person that reaches out to me. I can't reach out to every single person that reaches out to me because like right now I got to sit here and spend like 4 or 5 hours making this music. Or I got to sit there and figure out how the merch is going to look. Or I got to sit there and I do have to take some phone calls, like phone interviews or something like that. It's just like there's so much to it that it can crowd the creation part. You know, 100%. Just that it becomes overwhelming. Even when it comes to like trying to get the music videos right, the photo shoots, like there's just so many levels to like trying to make sure that you keep up your image as an artist, or even just like keeping up your sanity as a person, you know, because like this is my job, you know. I want to make sure that I'm keeping this job until I don't want to do the job no more, or until I decide that I want to branch off and do something else, but still in the same medium as making music. You know, like I love music and I always will. So whether that is me making music now and like I stay doing this until like I'm 40 fucking years old and I'm like, you know what, I'm done making music now. I've had my time. I love doing it. I'll do it when it needs to come. Like I'm never gonna stop making music. But right now I want to put my attention into like talking about music or having a podcast about music, you know, like doing stuff like that, or who knows what type of outlets will happen when we're in our 40s, you know, like who knows what's going to happen. But
and that's what's so cool. There's obviously so many downsides to COVID, but there are also so many cool things that came out of COVID. Some people were able to like take a step back and be like, oh, I can actually do this and this and this and this. It made people reevaluate I feel like it made a lot of people, this is not everyone, but what's the right word? Time management. I feel like it actually helped a lot with time management. It helped me at least with time management and realizing things I should prioritize versus other things.
For sure. Yeah, I always feel like I'm being selfish when I say it, but like 2020, you know, it definitely helped me personally be able to do that, you know, take the step back and like write down what I need, write down what I like am looking for within myself as a career, within this career of music and art, you know, like actually be intentional with what I'm doing instead of looking at it like just, you know, as a hobby, you know, and to keep on making it fun, you know, like it's a job, but as other jobs can end up becoming like, I've worked like in the 9-to-5 realm where it's just like, or the 9-to-5 realm, but the like, you know, the day job realm where you're sitting there not enjoying what you do and you feel like you're wasting your time. And that same thing can apply to like even making music if you're not having fun doing it. You know, there are some people that truly love their day job because they're having fun doing it. as long as you're having fun, like why stop, you know? But there's nothing wrong with having a day job. I'm just saying that that's not for me personally.
Oh, so what do you do? You don't have a day job right now?
No.
What do you do to make money?
I mean, music
OnlyFans?
and like OnlyFans are doing these toes. No, my toes are crusty.
Oh no.
I do like kind of like do deliveries here and there, but like I don't clock into anything, you know. But other than that, you know, like I've been doing sessions where people pay me to do sessions and stuff like that, and like
that's dope.
Do vocal stuff like that. You know, that's just kind of how I make my money. You know, I still kind of get like money from streaming. What's it called? Sync licensing deals and shit like that. So it's like
that's a dope thing. I feel like not a lot of people talk about sync licensing.
It's huge, bro. I wish I could get a lot more, but like it does help a lot when it comes to like making sure, and then like, you know, gigs too, but then like you know, it's been helping me pay my bills, you know, like it's been making me so I don't have to like really focus on working a day job anymore, you know. But, you know, with all that being said, it's just like, I don't know, that's the reason why I try to work so hard on like making sure that shit gets accomplished, you know, and properly executed, just because like, you know, I don't want to have to go back to working a day job. It's not for me. Yeah. It's not something that I like doing. I never liked going in and clocking into somebody else's time and then having to be there for 8 hours a day. Well, like more like 9 hours a day, because like depending on where you work, you also maybe have to stay an extra hour after things close, you know?
Yeah.
But growing up, I've worked so many other jobs. Like since I was able to work, I've been working up until like I just didn't need to anymore, you know. And it's just
another fuzzy,
bro. It's another fuzzy. But nah, man, I think working a day job stresses me out to the max, because like I don't like the thought of like, yo, I need to go to LA next month. Can I take that time off? No, Susan has that time, and apparently you just fuck you pretty much. Like you can't take that time, or like you could give, not even like ask them, like tell them like, yo, I can't take this time off. Like the I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it, but like the impression that they give when it comes to like
what is it, a clog in the machine or whatever?
Almost, pretty much. But it's like they give you this impression that like if you ask them for time off or tell them that you need time off, that it's gonna cost your job. And that's what nobody likes, is like, if I'm telling you that I need to take time off for personal reasons, even if I don't have like time off, like time paid to like, you know, I forget what it's even fucking called. Vacation time. Like the vacation time and shit like that, or sick time. Like you can't use your sick time unless you're actually sick, or you can only use vacation time for so many times. I don't know, but like they threaten that job.
Flexing slowly. You're like, what is that? What's vacation time?
And I forgot what vacation time was, man, because I never got to fucking use it. That's what it is. But
damn, yeah, I get that.
No, man, it's just trash. I don't like the way that they outline.
I think a lot of creatives are like
people.
that.
Yeah.
So how did you become like a go-to feature in Seattle? Like, what were the steps? If you,
I mean, I don't even know. I truly, to be honest, like it's not that like it was a go-to thing. Like I have friends that are willing to like pay me for my time, and that I am also willing to pay for their time. You know, it's different if we're like collaborating on something, but if they're like asking me to like hop on something that they already have like written, or if they're like asking me to like pretty much be a source for something that they need on a song, I'm not, I to be honest, like I never used to be like, yeah, I charge, until that one person decided like, yo, I'll pay you to be on the song. And it wasn't even more of like, it wasn't even more of the fact that like I didn't like the song. It was just more of the thought that like, oh shit, I could do that. Like I didn't realize that I was like able to like charge for my time that way, you know, and I feel like that helped a lot understand that side of the business. I feel like in the sense of like, I don't know.
I have a question. What do artists put that on their taxes? That they're charging people for features?
I mean, you can. I'm sure you can write them off. I never like before got paid enough to really write that off on my taxes. So like, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking ducking. Don't put this on here. Maybe I'm ducking the fucking IRS or
Yeah, like when 2 Chainz is like $50,000 for a feature or whatever artist. Like, yeah. Does the government look at that? Like,
shit. I mean, I feel like when you're making money like that, when you're making way over the amount that the average person makes a year, then I'm sure that's when they're like, yeah, you need to fucking tax this shit, bro.
Like OnlyFans girls, do they? The ones that are making big money, they probably have to pay taxes.
Bro, like, because I feel like some of them are like making millions a month. So of course, if they're making millions per month, they definitely got to get that tax. Otherwise, they're getting somebody knocking on their door. That's wild.
So how would you? Yeah, but like, how would you meet like a? You explain how you met like Karma and Nobi and those guys, but like, how would you meet like a Paris Alexa, Dave B, Sam LaChow,
man, honestly,
Campana?
It was always just kind of like a trickling moment. So like, I met Shayhan first. Well, I've known Alex Samurai Dell. I've known him since middle school.
Check out what was it called? Mr.
Samurai. Check that out. Yeah. Shout out my guy Dell. But I've known Dell since middle school. Like I've just known of him, you know, and like I knew him because we went to the same middle school.
Wow.
He ended up going to a different high school, like in Spokane. I still lived in the Tri-Cities. Anyway,
was he
I already
cool?
knew. He was hanging around some hoodlums, but he was always a cool kid. But he was always hanging around some hoodlums. Well, let's just say we were on 2 different friend groups. I wouldn't say, but I don't know if I would. I don't know. I was kind of a hoodlum myself. Anyway, we just had 2 different friend groups, but I just knew that me and him were gonna be friends because we would still make music. Not until like high school, like he was sending stuff over to me, and then like he would produce stuff for me, and then of course like he moved out here first, and then I moved out here, and then of course like he was like one of the first people I knew out here. But Shayhan, before I moved out here, like I connected with him, and he was the first person that I didn't know growing up in like Eastern Washington that I met out here. So like Dell introduced me to Campana.
Okay.
And then Campana introduced me to Paris.
Because they were roommates or something, right? Samurai, Dell, and Campana?
Yeah, they were. So I got introduced to Campana through Dell.
These are all local Seattle artists. Some have moved to LA, but just in the audience now.
Oh, yeah,
If people are getting lost.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, like some of these people live in LA now, but Dell to Campana to Paris, and I think I actually met Travis through Campana too, because we were always like at that apartment and like just chilling out and hanging out, and that was just kind of like at the time that was just kind of like our spot. We would just hang out at Campana's spot, and it was like in West Seattle, and we were just chilling there. Like we'd make music or just top it up about like what we're trying to do or what we're going to do and stuff like that. And like that was just our spot. And then like to be honest, it just was one thing after another. I met like Nima and like Elon through Shayhan.
Oh,
because that's where Shayhan was like making music at the time, and that was the first studio that I had.
The Ruby Room.
Ruby Room.
Elon's been on the podcast. Nima has not yet, though.
Yeah, soon. Gotta get him on. Where you at, Nima? Where you at? But yeah, like it's wild because I met Nima through Shayhan, and like I just one after another, you know, and like it just kind of like that's how it was. Like I was like doing a lot of features on Campana's music at the time. I was doing,
and you were on Cosmos, the Cosmos project.
Yeah, the Cosmos project. Like a lot of my features had come from there before I stopped really like doing a lot of features and really focusing on my own solo stuff. Of course, I did like a couple features with Travis when he was like really starting to blow up in the beginning, you know. And then I did a couple with BFA, you know, when they were still like a crew out here. And then like just one after another. I'm sure I met Saul through Nima. I've probably met Sam through Saul. I don't actually remember how I met Sam, but I remember meeting Sam somehow. Like it was either through the internet or through just different mediums. But then like, you know, it just kind of like trickled down, you know, like I don't know how this shit really happens. It's not that I had these intentions of like, yo, I'm gonna meet everybody in Seattle and make music with everybody. It was just like, I love to make music, and it was just kind of like somebody knew who I was, and they're like, yo, why don't you get MistaDC on the track, or why don't you make music with MistaDC, or blah blah blah. And then I just reach out to them, and
these are all very talented artists though. So like if you weren't talented alone, they wouldn't have you on their projects.
I feel like that is definitely a thing. Like I definitely know that I have talent. I feel like maybe there are times where I don't see the talent the way that others see my talent, if that makes sense. Like maybe I talk to people all the time, you know, like from my homies in Tacoma to people here in Seattle that are like, bro, I don't know if you realize like your talent and stuff like that. And like I have people telling me that, and I truly don't really understand. Like I'm just making music. Like I'm just trying to make the best music I can and that I enjoy. Like I want to make music that I know that I would listen to if I was discovering music, or if I was listening to my favorite artist. You know, that's all I want to do. And if people enjoy that and recognize that, then that's dope. You know, like I'm not like out here trying to be like I'm not trying to flex, you know. I'm not the type of person to do that, but I understand when I do some dope shit, and I understand when I fuck up, but like it's really cool when people come up to me and like are telling me like, yo, like you have it, you know, or like you have something, whether I know it or not, you know, I have something. And right. I feel like that's it's reassuring, because there are times where I can't get down on myself. I'm a human, you know, like I get down on myself. I'm an emotional guy at the same time. And I feel like there are times where me overworking myself can overwhelm myself to the point where I'm just like, am I even doing the right thing? And then like I have the right homies that are there for me and tell me like, yo, stop fucking up. Or not like fucking up, but like stop thinking like that. You're the shit, you know. They're my hype people, you know. They hype me up.
That's good.
You know, and but then, you know, I also stay grounded and just try to be like, you know, like I'm still trying to make a name for myself. I'm still working on becoming a better version of who I was before.
Do you think there's been a hold up? Do you like when you even performing on like KEXP in that 2018? Did you feel like even back in 2018 you would have been on a different platform by now? Or like how do you feel like your trajectory has been?
I truly think that everything does go the way that it's planned. You know, like my route is in the right direction. No matter what I'm doing, it's supposed to be in the right direction. I don't think that I could be on something bigger and I could not. You know, it's not that like after KEXP like it was just gonna continue going up from there or anything like that, or down. You know, like I feel like KEXP was a moment that led to other moments, you know, and I feel like it definitely, with me changing my name and changing my identity, probably confused some people that were remembering as MistaDC and were like only recognized me as MistaDC. So I don't know. I definitely feel like wherever I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to be. You know, like I'm supposed to be here right now. You know,
on the NAST podcast.
On the NAST podcast. There you go. And I'm supposed to be going to practice later. You know, like there are so many different oh shit, hold on, let me make sure that my
oh shit.
No, I just want to make sure that I'm not going over the time of out there. I just got a parking ticket the other day. I'm not trying to get another one.
Fuck yeah. It's too for people who. I actually made a direction. Did you check out the directions PDF?
Fuck, bro. I probably did, and then like ended up getting caught up.
Damn it! I recently made a directions and tips PDF for my guests. So,
really?
So that I'm like, here are the locations where you have to pay to park. It's 2 hours park for people that eventually come on the podcast or people who just want to know. Yeah. Right in front of the studio, it's 2-hour parking, and then a couple of streets over, it's like residential parking where you just have to learn how to parallel park because it's fucking super tight roads. But there's always parking, but it's like parallel parking and like.
Damn, bro,
it's a bitch.
I fucked up. See, and that's where I wish I had just like more time to just like not have to do everything, because then I probably would have known that shit and not have to be like, oh shit, I got fucking this time. But what were we talking about? I forgot what we were asking.
I don't know. We talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of stuff. But besides the point, I was supposed to be here, and like I feel like my trajectory of where I'm going is gonna go in the right direction no matter what. You know, I know that my artistry will get bigger. I know that I'm gonna grow. I know that I'm only gonna go up from here. And there's just no doubt about it. You know, I believe in attracting what you want. I believe in making sure that you are counting your blessings, like counting what you have and understanding that like it could be worse, you know, but better is on its way, you know. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
How do you feel when like you've worked with these other artists who have like blown up exponentially, like Travis Thompson, Paris Lexa to a certain level, like a Dave B? Like, how does that make you feel? Is it like, are you happy for them? Do you feel like,
of course,
fuck, I would, of course, happy, but like, is there like, fuck, I should be up there with them? Or like, how do you?
They are supposed to be where they're at, you know, exactly, and that's their trajectory. I don't like comparing, not only to like homies, but I don't like comparing to any artist, because everybody's journey is different. Mm-hmm. You know, their journey took them to where they're at right now and going forward and continue to grow. You know, everybody's journey is different. Like, those are, because I started making music with them, or like when I first came out here, like I was making music with them and stuff like that on their growth in the beginning and stuff like that. I understand that their journey took them that way, and my journey is not anywhere less or more than what they're at, you know, if that makes sense. That's not how I look at it anyway, but I know that where I'm gonna be, I'm gonna eventually be in like some sort of realm that contains people maybe looking at me in that way too, if that makes, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just saying, like, no, I don't sit there and be like, oh man, I need to be there, like that's where I'm at, because like I'm literally a phone call away from all these people. Like,
that's what's so cool. It seems like you have long-lasting friendships with all those guys.
Yeah, you know, like they're homies, you know, like I know that because they're there, I know that it's not impossible for me to be there too, you know. And like I said, and not saying that they're like, I don't know how to explain it. Not saying that they're like ahead or behind or anything like that. Not even with me, because like I'm on my own journey. Like I decided to make a name change right in the middle of like my career, you know, or in the beginning. Like I don't even know where I'm at in my career, to be honest. Like I can't even tell you where I really stand in my career. I could be, I know that I might be in a better position than most. I may be in a worse position than most, quote unquote. But that all being said, is, you know, I know where I'm supposed to be, you know, and I'm supposed to be right here. I was supposed to make the name change. I was supposed to do KEXP. 2020 was supposed to happen, unfortunately for some people and fortunately for some, you know.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, man. Like I know that I do want to do a lot more shows, and because I put that in the universe, I've attracted more shows. You know, I've been talking about how I want to make more money as my artistry, or in my artistry, and that's been happening. You know, so like I have no doubt that where I want to be or where I'm going to be will happen within the next couple of years, or within this year, like I have the right connections here, and I have the right connections in other areas, like New York and LA and all that, So
I see you like on the same level as, especially at least in Seattle, as the same level as like a Sam LaChow and all those other people. So like when I had Sam on for the second time, oh my God, I've been working on like my marketing tactics. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know some tactics aren't the most appropriate, just like joke wise, but
it's all good.
I know that it's important. I think it's clickbait's important sometimes. So I just put out the interview with Sam yesterday. And
Okay.
it was a very clickbait, but it was obvious. I make sure it was obvious enough so no one is really offended.
Okay.
So the people that, it's whatever. The point is, so I had him on yesterday, and because like I've been producing his podcast, and he's already been on mine. We're able to just talk about whatever. And he was saying that it's cool that I have a lot of Seattle artists on, but he says it can seem like sometimes I feel like comparing artists to one another, which I try not to do that. It's more about just like hearing other people's perspectives. But
to other Seattle artists.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with that, he was saying he doesn't see himself as a Seattle artist. He just feels like he's an artist, right? But I feel like does that mindset maybe come with the fact that he's done all he can really do in Seattle and he's happy with his fan base? Like, do you feel like, how do you look at Seattle, that because you're definitely on the same level as like a Sam LaChow and people in here in Seattle, like people know who you are. So do you feel like you have to traverse through Seattle, or like I'm one stop away from being able to do this cool thing in Seattle, or like do you just look at Seattle as just where you live? And
to be honest, man, I feel like as an artist, I don't feel like anybody wants to be known as like a place that you live in artist. Like we want to be able to be worldwide. We want people from Chicago to hear what we're doing out here. We want people from Texas, or we want people from New York. We want people from all around the state, or the country, the fucking world, to know what we're doing. Japan, Korea, like we don't want to be known as the representative of Seattle, but more of the person that is from that place. Like I feel like it sounds more cool, I guess, to say like, yeah, I'm an artist from Seattle. Like I made it past that, because it almost becomes like that feeling of like, oh yeah, they're not like, when you have that title of being as like a Seattle artist, it feels like you're only able to like hit that glass ceiling, or there's not a glass ceiling, but you're just hitting that ceiling of like, here's Seattle, and then you're like trying to get past it, and like you can't.
Is that just because of how the music industry sees it? Like a fucking Nipsey Hussle or whoever would be like, yeah, I'm from Crenshaw.
I feel like that's really how people from Seattle see it. I feel like from what I've experienced, like outside of Seattle, people don't really care about Seattle like that. Like people are not like sitting there like, oh, what's happening in Seattle? More of like, they know that there are dope artists coming from Seattle. So I feel like it's almost kind of like an ego thing with artists, probably having that title of being a Seattle artist. It just comes with like, oh damn, am I starting to get to that part of like capping out and only being able to feed my potential within this boundary of Seattle and not like anywhere else. Like I know that comes with like growth and like having you make music wherever you go, but I'm not sure. I know that I don't know. I don't really understand. Like I understand the feeling, but then I don't understand the feeling, because I never knew if people looked at me as like a Seattle artist or not. I didn't know how people really view me until they tell me that they view me that way.
So do you think nowadays artists should just focus on worldwide right away versus being like, let me build myself up in Seattle? Or like,
I feel like anybody should be focusing on like trying to be as big of an artist as they can be, but I feel like they definitely have to like they definitely have to build their fan base of where they are. You know, they have to have that like people won't fuck with you anywhere else if they think that your own town doesn't fuck with you or your own city doesn't fuck with you necessarily. Because if you sit there and go to LA and work with some people in LA and you sit there and blow them away, they're not going to sit there like, yo, this guy is Seattle. They're going to be like, yo, this guy is a fire fucking artist. You know, there's so many people in LA that are coming from so many different areas that you don't look at them like, oh, this is an LA artist. They might represent their city and be like, no, I'm from fucking Baltimore, or I'm from fucking, you know, so-and-so. But like, when I'm listening to an artist, I'm not automatically like, oh yeah, this person is from so-and-so, or this person is from blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, yo, I fuck with this artist. And then I'm like, where are they from? Oh, they're from Seattle? Oh shit, I didn't even know, you know, because Seattle does, in my opinion, sometimes gets looked over when it comes to mainstream music in a sense. You know, of course, the big cities like LA, New York, you know, Atlanta, you know, they're the ones that have like the most like attention on them. But there's definitely so much hidden talent out here that people don't realize, because I feel like Seattle had or maybe still has a reputation of being just kind of like very poppy music, you know, like I don't know, people seem to just like look over it because it doesn't have, it's either pop or like grunge,
right?
You know. And so like when people out here make music that are super fire, then it gets looked over, unfortunately, sometimes. And then we have like, I don't know.
That's why people feel like they have to move and stuff. Like, why do you stay here in Seattle?
I'm from Washington, you know. I plan on moving too, you know. Like, I definitely have a plan of like leaving probably come 2022, you know. Like, I was trying to think of what year it was for a second. I was like, where year are we? But come 2022, you know, like, and it's not even for the fact that like I need to move for my career, because we live in a time where like I could just visit LA anytime I want, but for the fact that I've lived in Washington my whole life, I need to explore a little bit more. Like, I feel like that's going to also help me with my writing, with my creativity. Like, being surrounded in a new area and changing your scenery also creates a mind expanding creation, you know, in my opinion. You know, like, I know a few people in LA too that like it won't change anything if I move to LA. All it's gonna do is just give me a better opportunity to get connected with certain people, you know, that are in LA. You know, I've seen what moving to LA has done for certain people. Not saying that it's gonna do that for me, but I know people out there enough. If I kind of did that out here in Seattle, not knowing anybody and just kind of doing like, oh, I'm going to connect with this person, or I'm going to connect with this person and make music, then why can't I do that in another place, even if it's just for like a year?
Yeah. I forget who it was. It probably was a comedian I had on. I think it might have been Monica Nevi, where she was saying like people feeling like they have to move out of their city because they feel like their city makes them sad or whatever. You're just gonna, and you think you're moving to a different city will make you happy and make your music better. Sometimes it's just a different city and you still feel sad and their music's still the same.
Damn.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think it comes from within. So moving, I feel like, shouldn't be like an excuse. Like, oh, if I move, that's what's gonna make my music better. You should move because it's something you feel deep down, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't think that moving is gonna make my music better.
I'm not saying. I'm just
Yeah, and like, I know that's what a lot of people think too. Like, it's crazy that you say that, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, once I'm in LA, game over. My music is just automatically better than it was when I was living in my hometown, you know? But like, I know that it's gonna motivate me a little bit more. It's gonna push me, because I know that I still have work out here to do that I wanna still like like get things done out here. But then I know that like I feel like I like that challenge of like starting anew and like having people that don't know who I am discover me.
Yeah, that's some of the magic too. I feel like everyone there definitely is that small chance though. If you're working just as hard here in Seattle and then you move to LA and still work as hard, there's still probably like even if it's 5% chance that if you're working that hard in LA, you can be walking down the street and someone's like, "Oh fuck, I want you to be on my show or be on my album or whatever it is." You know, like you can work super hard here in Seattle, and no one's gonna come on walk down the street and be like, "Hey, I want to give you this opportunity."
No, exactly, and I feel like that's opportunities in LA,
and that's what's exciting.
It's super exciting, man. Like the last couple times I've been to LA, I mean, I always whenever I go out there, I always make sure that like I have everything set up so that like I'm always in a session or I'm always doing something so that I'm not just like out there doing what I could be doing out here.
Yeah.
You know, but like some things just kind of like it's wild, man. Like on like a just very low level. Like there was a time when I went out there and ended up just going out there and like one of my friends from out here knew that I was coming out there and they're like, "Yo, I just wanted to reach out to you personally because I want to introduce you to somebody that when you're out here, I just want to make sure that you guys get introduced before you go back." I'm like, "Perfect, cool, sounds good." It just happened to be like an A&R from Columbia Records.
Ooh.
And like it was just a super dope meeting to the point where it's like, "Yo, whenever you come back out here, you can record here whenever you want. Like you will have a spot to record. Like you don't have to worry about paying for studio time. Like I want to make sure that you're able to like do that." And like stuff like that obviously just doesn't happen out here. Like you can't just like, "Oh, like I'm in Seattle, like who can I have the interview or like who can I meet up with?" You know, some people like that person to person meeting before they can like, "Okay, yeah, I fuck with this person. I want to invest in this person." Because like you could be anybody online. Like you don't know what that person truly is unless you like are meeting that person in person.
That's why that Catfish show just came back. Have you seen that?
They came out with a new Catfish show?
I'm pretty sure the new Catfish is out.
Damn.
Because I've been seeing it on like Instagram and Snapchat and stuff. Like there's like a whole like series page and stuff for it.
That's fire.
So I'm pretty sure it's back.
All about like who, or is it the same story? Like it's
the same people. It's just like more modern. You know, like
damn.
This person catfished me on Instagram. I mean, you know what's crazy? There's a lot of the show takes place in Washington.
I'm sure, yeah.
Like Spokane area and stuff.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. You never know where. I feel like Seattle has definitely been becoming more of a mainstream place. Like I've been noticing it a lot in like television.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing it a lot more in like movies. Like it's just like, oh, the setting of this movie is based in Seattle.
Oh, like did you ever see Chronicle?
Oh yeah,
dude, that was like holy shit, that took place in Seattle. Like,
yeah,
that was crazy. Fucking Michael B. Jordan. What was it? What's that one guy's name?
I forget. He actually ended up playing.
He was in Spider-Man too as a fucking Green Goblin guy.
Yeah, the Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
That
guy hasn't been in anything lately.
No, I mean he just looked like he had an evil face. He was just kind of scary.
Yeah, it was. That was a crazy. I need to rewatch that movie, Chronicle.
Yeah, that movie was fire. I remember I actually used to own that movie because I liked it so much. Like when people actually bought DVDs and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like people still do, but we're getting to that point in time where people are not doing that shit no more. People are like waiting for it to just come out on a streaming platform and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember this movie."
I remember when I first realized you can stream music and like have a subscription. It was like when it first came. I've always been like a Google guy. Some people make fun of me for that, but like I like Google phones better than Apple.
Hey.
But shit, it was like probably 2015, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I would buy like full on albums on like streaming services. And then I kept getting these ads for $9 a month, listen to music. And I was like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
So I finally had $10 saved up, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it. I have no idea what it's going to do. If it takes my money, then whatever.
Yeah.
And then I never looked back after that, and I'm like, I've always had a music subscription after that.
Hey man, that's it's funny because like that was the moment where I ended up 2015 was the moment where I ended up getting Apple Music, because it was like around that time where Apple was trying to compete with Spotify, because it was just like people were like there was no way to like really listen to music other than buying albums, you know, or
Yeah.
buying singles. And people are like, why would I buy that if I could literally just listen to it on Spotify, you know, for just a monthly subscription? Like I could listen to it like I could listen to the whole album if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean Spotify still like takes reign over like all the streaming platforms, but
Yeah, I
like
think
Apple
it's,
Music
like-
is contender now.
I think it's like, I feel like Spotify is like artists like ID or whatever. You know, like people are like, oh, you're an up and coming artist, huh? Let me look at your Spotify. Let me see your numbers. You know, things like that.
Which is super trash. Just
Yeah.
because like I don't know, man. Maybe this is a Seattle thing, but like I don't notice that in LA. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, like whenever I go visit there, people like truly like listen to you or like want to invest in you based off of talent. You know, and like I feel like out here I've noticed a lot more like, yeah, what's your Spotify? And then like, and I've actually seen it firsthand, like with a homie, where like they were like telling them like, yeah, I make music too, and they're like, oh yeah, let me see your Spotify. And then they're like, their monthly listeners were like maybe like 1,000 or less or something like that, and like you could just see it on their face. They're just like, oh okay, like they didn't take them serious at that moment, as if like their music wasn't good because their monthly listeners weren't there. But it's just like, what the fuck? Like
the consumer doesn't understand like how hard it is.
Exactly. But the thing is like in LA, there's so many people that know so many other people. They're like, yo, this person is so fucking talented. They're up and coming. They don't really have a huge following yet. But if we package them this way and like show or put them in the right rooms, they could be really big. And I've also seen that happen too, where the same person that had less than like 1,000 monthly listeners moved to LA, and now all of a sudden they have like over 50,000 monthly listeners or more.
You see that? I've seen that actually a lot of my guests actually, like I'm forgetting all these labels that all these artists are on, but like from like a Jay Skis who had barely any monthly listeners, but he was well known in New York. Fucking Conway hit him up one, Conway the Machine.
Yeah.
Hit him up one day. I was like, I want you to be on my new record label, just out of nowhere.
Damn.
So Conway or like a Katil even.
Yeah.
Like I forget who whatever record label guy, the head of whatever record label that was, reached out to him and was like,
I forget.
I'll put you on Sway in the Morning, and then I want to put you on this record label. Or I have this guy named Gundes Garcon. He's from. Do you know who Black Party is?
Oh yeah.
So I've had Black Party on.
Really?
Yeah, he was actually one of my first guests.
Black Party.
Yeah.
Damn, that guy's so fire. I need to meet him one day.
He's dope. So Black Party is from this really small town, Little Rock, Arkansas. Like the smallest music scene, just super small. And basically the biggest artists come out of there is Carrie Foe,
yeah, Black
Party, and Gundes Garcon. And they're all signed. Black Party and Carrie Foe kind of blew up at the same time because Childish Gambino founded both of them.
Yeah.
And then Gundes Garcon was kind of there for another couple years, and would just keep going out to LA until one of the head, was it like Pete Rosenberg or someone? I was like, you know what? I believe in what you're doing. I'm going to sign you also. You know? And they're just because people in LA like see that. I feel like a lot of people in LA see that talent, or like other music hubs. I don't know if that's really here in Seattle, because a lot of things there isn't like a big record labels or press or anything here in Seattle for people to invest really yet. Which is,
I might have to go and
no worries. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
This has been a good one, man.
Yeah, man. My bad. It's just the parking, and like I'm really trying not to get another ticket, because last time I was like on my way out there to like try and pay for the parking.
Yeah.
And they already gave me the ticket.
That's fucking annoying. Well, Dave Shanaé, it's been a pleasure. What's the easiest way for people to reach you?
At Dave Shanaé.
There we go.
SHANAE, the accent.
This is the NAST podcast with
Dave Shanaé.
And we did it.